In the midst of an opulent banquet hall, draped in lavish silks with chandeliers sparkling like constellations, one could easily overlook the tangled web of human emotions threading through the fabric of expectation and desire. Here stood our protagonist, the daughter of prominent lineage, torn between the gilded future prescribed by her family and the pulsing heartbeat of love that thrummed within her soul. But this is no fairy tale. It is a narrative steeped in the real tension of societal norms and the weight of familial reputation, an exploration of a treasured union that defied boundaries. What is a love story without its challenges? In a world where monetary status is not merely an asset but a lifeline, our heroine finds herself enamored with a man whose pockets echo with emptiness, yet whose spirit gleams with ambition as bright as the jewels adorning her wrist. Can love, so fragile and yet so powerful, conquer the seemingly insurmountable fortress of wealth and privilege? As she gazes into his eyes, there lies a profound question. What treasures truly enrich the human experience? The deep connection they share, often dismissed as folly by her family, glimmers like a rare gemstone buried beneath the sands of sacred grounds, eager to be discovered. Their clandestine meetings unfold away from prying eyes, in moonlit gardens where worries dissipate like shadows at dawn. Here time stands still, allowing them to weave their dreams into a tapestry rich with possibility. Each whispered promise exchanged beneath the stars becomes a silent rebellion against the edifice of societal expectations. Within this ethereal space, questions abound. Do they dare to envision a life together despite the tempest of disapproval that looms? Will love's essence withstand the storms of judgment and reproach? As the days wane into weeks, the weight of secrecy bears down upon them and doubt begins to chip away at the delicate fabric of hope. How many stolen moments can sustain a love tethered to the precarious threads of discontent? The world outside, with its unyielding assembly of wealth and lineage, grows increasingly daunting. Rituals of courtship on grand yacht parties and lavish galas evoke a bittersweet yearning within her heart. She watches as her peers dance under the glow of fortune, enshrouded in embrace with partners deemed worthy by her family's standards. Yet amidst the laughter and clinking glasses, the void left by her beloved's absence is palpable, a reminder that opulence cannot populate the chambers of her heart. Thus the narrative shifts. Pride becomes an obstacle, escalating tensions within her family augment until the very walls of their mansion seem to echo her parents' discontent. Have they not sacrificed enough for their daughter's future? Even within the lavish confines of privilege, an insidious force brews, fear of scandal, of diminished status, of whispers that would disgrace the family name. Yet, as her mother admonishes her with rhetoric steeped in age-old customs, one must ponder, what happens when love clashes with expectation? Is it not the very essence of human experience to challenge the status quo? This love story, seemingly doomed, may yet hold the seeds for resurgence beyond the confines of Dickensian dilemmas. Passion meets turmoil when she is urged to entertain eligible suitors, prospects that parade before her like fine dining courses, each more sumptuous than the last. However, as she contemplates these offers, the thought of a life devoid of passion sends shivers through her core. The public persona she must adopt contrasts starkly with the fervent dreams cultivated in the secrecy of shadows. Can the heart be cajoled into submission? Surely love, when forged in trials, possesses the strength to shatter the chains of convention. In a moment of fierce clarity, our heroine resolves to seize control of her destiny, to chart a course across the turbulent seas of familial piety. Inspired by a fleeting vision, she imagines a world where love is celebrated for its authenticity, a world where wealth is redefined by the richness of experience rather than bank balances. Is there power in vulnerability? For isn't love, raw and unabridged, an asset more valuable than gilded treasures? Bursting forth from the chrysalis of hesitation, she stands before her family, the weight of their expectations heavy upon her shoulders. Her heart beats fiercely as she lays bare her desires. The fingers entwined with hers symbolize a covenant that, although frayed by circumstance, pulses with relentless vigor. What will they say? How deep will the fissures of heartache carve into her family's legacy? It is in this moment of honesty that the parameters of love expand beyond mere unions into realms of acceptance and resilience. In the crucible of truth, our heroine's world bends and reshapes. She learns that truth, however daunting, possesses its own kind of currency, the kind that has the potential to buy one's freedom. As her parents' faces contort in disbelief, she stands resolutely, armed with the knowledge that love, when treasured and nurtured, can illuminate the darkest paths. Is it not this very act of courageous defiance that encodes a legacy far surpassing the trivialities of wealth? In every act of love, friendships forged and fissures healed, her journey towards acceptance, despite the drumming of tradition and dissent, paves the way for a narrative of truth against the backdrop of a society comfortably ensconced in status quo. Thus, as the sun sets upon her once familiar world, she steps forward into the unknown, unearthing not just the treasures within her own heart, but opening the door for others to follow. This forbidden love, long shrouded in the mists of societal disdain, becomes the conduit through which a new understanding of wealth emerges, one rooted in courage, passion, and an unwavering belief that love in all its forms is the most profound treasure of all. To understand the depths of familial expectations, one must first grasp the societal constructs that frame them. In many cultures, the weight of wealth and reputation sits heavily upon the shoulders of the young. This tension is not merely an inconvenience but an atmospheric force, entwining aspirations and responsibilities like vines around an ancient tree. Within this framework, we traverse the lives of those ensnared in the expectations of their families, particularly when love dares to strike in unexpected places. Imagine a world where your worth is measured not by your kindness or intellect but by the digits in your bank account. In this world, your selection of a partner is scrutinized under a harsh, unyielding light. Each decision reverberates, echoing through generations and impacting the perceived honor of your lineage. Such was the reality for those raised in families rich in both wealth and expectation, where marrying for love is but a fairy tale, and transgressions against societal norms are punished with the icy hand of disapproval. As I stood at the precipice of my own choices, I felt the whispers of my family's legacy curling around me, tightening like a noose. What drives families to enforce such rigid parameters on personal happiness? Is it the desire to maintain status, to adhere to a lineage rooted in prestige? Perhaps it stems from an instinctual need to protect against the vulnerabilities of love, which, unlike wealth, cannot be quantified or assured. The richness of lineage often overshadows the authenticity of personal joy, leading to heart-wrenching decisions that prioritize reputation over genuine connection. Indeed, it is within this sphere of familial pressure that many find themselves grappling with an imbalance between desire and duty. In my case, I fell in love with a man whose pockets were as empty as his dreams were full. To my family, he was unworthy, a mere shadow against the backdrop of our affluence. The unspoken arguments flowed like a river, guiding my decisions toward a fate orchestrated by my parents' hopes and fears. Did they see me as a naive child or a vessel for their prestige? In our conversations, I often sensed an undercurrent of resentment brewing beneath their well-polished facades, each pause weighed with disappointment and control. The art of local gossip spun tales that cemented our identities and shrouded them in expectations. The question lingered, was love truly enough to face down the gilded chains? As each day passed, my heart anchored itself deeper in the belief that my partner's inner riches far outweighed his outward poverty. Yet the more I held onto this conviction, the more the walls of my family's expectations threatened to close in around me. Friends became distant shadows, wary of betraying the loyalty that their own families demanded. Conversations turned stilted, as though I had fractured the delicate fabric of our community simply by loving someone from a less fortunate background. How many times had I clenched my fists in frustration, trying to defend the purity of our bond, a bond that others could hardly comprehend? Yet still, hope flickered like a fragile candle. In private moments with my lover, where laughter mingled with dreams, ambitious ideas sparked between us like shooting stars. My heart whispered that we could change our narrative, creating our destiny wholly outside the conditioning that had been imposed on us. But with every shared dream came the weight of reality, and it loomed over us like a thunderhead threatening rain. Could we truly forge a path unencumbered by the imprints of family? The tension between aspiration and fear made every blissful moment feel like a fleeting secret. We were trapped in a play, yet the script remained unwritten. Perhaps the most profound realization came from understanding that my family's expectations were not solely an attempt to control my life, but a reflection of their own. Fears born from wounds long buried. They had navigated their youth under the same heavy cloak of societal judgment, Perhaps in their minds, they were protecting me from a fate they perceived as unworthy. Did they believe that wealthy roots could guarantee happiness? Or were they draping their own insecurities over my shoulders, transforming my choices into reflections of their legacy? As I pondered these complexities, the role of wealth began to unfold like an ancient tapestry, each thread a story, each color a lesson. In certain circles, wealth is venerated as the ultimate expression of success, the ultimate shield against life's adversities, yet those who possess it also bear an invisible burden. To be rich is to be vigilant, to guard one's status fiercely while often falling prey to the isolation that affluence may bring. The slippery slope of reputation dictated not just the choices one makes, but the very essence of one's identity, cascading down through familial lines, creating a cycle that is both painful and poetic. Ultimately, the yearning for liberation from these chains ignites an insatiable quest for self-definition. The battle between personal happiness and family legacy merges into a singular pursuit for authenticity. As I stood at this crossroads, I faced questions that would shape not only my future but the narrative of my existence itself. What is the cost of playing the role society has laid before you? How does one measure a life worth living against the rigid scales of wealth and reputation? The answers remain elusive, echoing against the halls of my memory, each resonant beat a reminder that true richness is found not in material wealth but in the profound connections we forge, even if they come at the highest price. In the stillness of the evening, as shadows danced across the walls of the grand mansion that once felt like a sanctuary, a profound silence enveloped me. The decision weighed heavily on my heart, and with each beat, the resolute echo of my truth reverberated within my very soul. Could love truly conquer the formidable barriers erected by pride and expectations? Or was my entire existence to be dictated by the choices of others, bound by the chains of wealth and reputation that had long governed our family? As I gazed out toward the horizon, the golden rays of the setting sun sparked a reflection of my tumultuous journey. It was not merely a tale of love, it was an intricate dance of societal norms and personal desires, a narrative woven with threads of aspiration and dread. My heart ached with the duality of my reality. The undeniable connection I felt for him, the man who had captivated my spirit, stood diametrically opposed to the expectations thrust upon me by my family, who valued fortune over affection. How could I reconcile the immense privilege afforded to me with the profound bond I shared with someone deemed unworthy? Was love truly enough to dismantle the barriers of class, to forge a new path free from the constraints of ancestral duty? These questions electrified the air around me, filled with the weight of possible futures as I contemplated the infamous breaking point that lay just ahead. The turning moment arrived with a stark abruptness, an invitation to an elaborate ball organized in our family's honor, glittering with opulence and a facade of joy. It promised everything society decreed was necessary: prestige, connections, and, as they would argue, the perfect suitor who bore the right lineage and endless prospects. Yet my heart throbbed with the knowledge that my heart was already claimed, not by the specter of wealth, but by a gentle soul whose spirit resonated with mine. As I descended the grand staircase that night, draped in a gown woven with threads of silver and dreams fleeting like whispers in the wind, I discerned the disapproving glances and hushed tones. The laughter that once rang like music in my ears now felt hollow, each peal a reminder of the impending storm that my choice threatened to unleash upon my family's reputation. In that moment, standing on the precipice of societal expectation and personal truth, I realized I was not just attending a mere event. I was walking toward my own reckoning. When the music swelled and filled the space, I spotted him standing just outside the circle of opulence, a stark contrast with his simple attire and disarming smile. My heart raced, fueled by a combination of excitement and rebellion. I grasped tightly to the glimmer of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, they would understand the richness of our bond transcended mere wealth. But reality lurked, as it often does, ready to shatter dreams. My father's voice cut through the haze of luster like a jagged blade. "This madness must stop at once," he erupted, eyes blazing with indignation. The room fell silent, a million breaths suspended in the air, every gaze fixed upon the unfolding drama. The weight of generations hung heavy in the atmosphere as he demanded an explanation for my apparent defiance. How could I explain it? How could I articulate the inexplicable connection that coursed through my veins every time I was near him? The warmth of his touch, the brilliance of his laughter, and the vibrancy of our shared dreams painted vividly against the stark canvas of my existing life. Yet each word faltered on my lips as I felt the traditional ties strangling my intentions. Father, I cannot be the daughter you expect me to be, I whispered fiercely, my heart racing against the inevitable backlash. I love him. He makes me whole in ways I cannot describe. Conflict brews within me, torn between the life you've crafted and the love I must embrace. The silence that followed was suffocating. Disappointment welled in my father's eyes, an abyss of expectation collapsing upon the gentle arc of affection that had once flourished. His expression reflected a dereliction, as if I had spat upon the very heritage that had sustained us through the ages. Moment destined to be forever etched in my memory, he made his distaste clear. If you choose this path, you choose to walk away from this family, you will lose everything. The clarity of his statement sent tremors through my being. Could I really bid farewell to the life I had known, to the comfort and security that privilege bestowed? Thrumming in the background was the undeniable comprehension of the consequences: disownment, exile, a price too steep for a heart shackled by love yet buoyed by rebellion. I stepped toward the man I adored, who stood like a steadfast lighthouse in a tumultuous storm. In that moment of truth, my heart swelled with a courage I had never known. It was a revelation to realize that my love was not a rebellion against my family, but a pursuit of a life that embraced authenticity over superficial laurels. I choose him, I declared, each syllable shimmering with resolve, igniting sparks that danced dangerously above the abyss we were about to leap into. The anguish in my father's eyes mirrored back at me a culmination of every expectation, every dream that had been meticulously crafted for my future. Yet as I looked toward the simplicity of joy before me, the decision crystallized. In that heart-wrenching split second between the past and future, I chose love. With that decision came a cascade of realizations, a convergence of fear and hope. The breaking point had arrived not merely as a moment of disownment, but as a reclaiming of personal agency. And perhaps in that relinquishment of familial ties, I would discover not just who I was, but who I could become together with the man who had captured my heart against all odds. The storm would not separate us, but rather forge a new narrative of resilience, an extraordinary odyssey that awaited us beyond the precipice of expectation. The moment I uttered the words, "I do," standing there in our makeshift ceremony draped in a patchwork of dreams and borrowed moments, the weight of my family's expectations shattered like glass around me. In that instant, a door slammed shut behind me, echoing with the finality of loss. They had always warned me that love could lead to darkness, yet the light poured in as I chose to marry the man my heart called home, the man deemed unworthy by my family's narrow definition of success. The joy of our union was eclipsed by the chilling realization that my choice had severed ties with the very roots from which I had grown, casting me into the unforgiving void of disownment. Disownment, a term I used to perceive as a distant specter, a fearsome tale shared in hushed tones among those who dared to defy the unwavering grip of familial allegiance, now enveloped me in a suffocating embrace. It is a powerful testament to the gulf that exists between love and obligation, between individual desires and collective expectations. Was it truly love that severed my family ties, or was it their twisted interpretation of loyalty that had cast me aside? In losing them, I stood nakedly exposed to the light of my decision, stripped of the comforts that once enveloped my existence. The layers of pain piled atop one another, heavy and suffocating. Had I anticipated this? The consequences of my choice had danced like shadows in the back of my mind, fleeting and intangible, yet impossible to ignore. The grief was unlike anything I had ever felt. It prickled at the edges of my consciousness, threatening to suffocate me in an inescapable spiral. Of regret, the gaping hole their absence left in my life echoed with haunting reminders of family gatherings, laughter, and shared memories, each one radiating warmth that felt cruelly out of reach now. I grieved not only for their rejection but also for the ideals of love intertwined with acceptance, deals I had foolishly thought were woven into the fabric of our family story. Questions peppered my thoughts, each one sharper than the last. Was I truly meant to walk this path alone? Did my worth rely solely on the thin veneer of social standing and material success? In marrying John, I had chosen a life filled with uncertainty, but perhaps even more threatening was the solitude that came hand in hand with disownment. It was one thing to embrace an unconventional love, it was another to face the stigma of poverty, armed only with the loyalty of the man I loved and my belief in our dreams. As days turned into weeks, I learned to navigate this tumultuous new world. The absence of familial support loomed large, but I began to unearth a resilience within me that was fortified by the flames of struggle. We took each day as it came, our hearts beating to the rhythm of hope and hard work. What had felt like a descent into darkness slowly transformed into a conscious journey of self-discovery. In the whispers of silence that enveloped our household, I found strength, crafting a unique identity that fused my past with the promise of something new. Yet in this recreation of self, I couldn't shake the question that clung to my consciousness. Was it not our shared humanity, the very essence of connection, that should surpass artificial constructs of class and status? It seemed a cruel paradox that my family, who had once enveloped me in love, could so easily choose wealth and reputation over the sacred bond of blood. The irony settled heavily upon my heart, urging me to confront the inequities of this world, a world that often values wealth as the foremost currency of human worth. In exploring the pain of disownment, I began to understand that pain, too, can be a gateway to understanding. My narrative intertwined with countless others, love stories that defied societal norms, couples faced with the unyielding force of disapproval, and individuals who emerged not unscathed but profoundly changed by the choices made in love's name. Across cultures, love often battles against the rigid structures of tradition. My own story felt like merely a thread woven into this vast tapestry of human experience. How many others had stood in the fray, facing a fork in the road, resolute in their choices yet vulnerable to the fierce winds of rejection? There, cradled in this shared humanity, I discovered an inner resolve. Love must transcend its tribulations, and though I mourned the loss of my family, I had gained a steadfast partner in John, a man whose worth was not defined by a bank balance but by the richness of his spirit and the depths of his compassion. Together, we were forging a life from the remnants of our dreams, transforming adversity into a source of strength, crafting a narrative imbued with love and perseverance, a narrative that dared to challenge the definitions of wealth itself. My journey through the depths of disownment did not conclude with bitterness, for I began to see it as a crucible, a powerful transformation wrought by pain and purpose. It was a time of casting aside not only the weight of familial expectations, but also the bindings of my own preconceived notions of success and fulfillment. As I grappled with those feelings, I found solace in knowing that love can flourish in the most unlikely of places, and through the ashes of rejection, I was beginning to sow the seeds of our new life, a life defined not by lineage, but by the dreams that bloom from the heart's deepest desires. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I found myself questioning the very fabric of my existence. Our modest apartment, with its peeling paint and misaligned furniture, bore witness to the struggles that lay ahead. In that moment, it felt as if my love and I were daring the universe to conspire against us as we embarked on this unexpected journey, struggling to build a life from scratch. How does one even begin to define love in the throes of hardship? Is it simply the warmth that envelops you in the darkest hours, or is it the unwavering support that drives you to push beyond your limits? If love is a powerful force, then it is also an immense burden when set against the stark reality of poverty, with my family's withdrawal amplifying our financial woes each day. Transformed into a delicate balance of hope and despair, the echoes of disownment still reverberated in my heart, serving as a constant reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of love. How could something as beautiful as love feel so isolating? In the early days of our new life together, we were just two souls learning to navigate this fragile world. Our dreams, once soaring high, were now tethered to the ground, weighed down by the harshness of reality. Our meals were often humble, cheap rice and beans became a staple as we learned to ration every penny. I remember sitting at our tiny kitchen table and watching him prepare dinner, his hands deftly chopping vegetables, a mixture of concentration and fear etched across his face. Could we really make it? As the shadows grew longer and our plans seemed to dwindle, I often wondered what else we could do to survive. Each day was a lesson in resilience. The challenges that emerged were both profound and minor. The leaking pipe that threatened to flood our modest dwelling, the unexpected bill that arrived just when we thought we could catch our breath, and the looming doubt that whispered insidiously in the back of my mind. What if we fail? I learned quickly that love was not enough to shield us from the harshness of life. And yet we pressed on, embracing the grit of our shared existence as we began to lay the groundwork for a future we could still believe in. Together, we forged our own path, one that was uncharted and precarious yet ripe with potential. Motivated by necessity, we grew into explore unorthodox ways to fend for ourselves. I took to the streets armed with a notebook filled with half-formed ideas. Could my passion for crafting and creating bring in an income? With every discarded scrap collected and every doodle recorded, I began to shape the contours of a small business, one that would eventually blossom into something more substantial. Yet the whispers of my family's disdain lingered in the air, probing me to question the worth of my ventures. Had I really chosen well? The tug of war between maintaining my independence and grappling with the ghosts of my past became exhausting yet necessary. Meanwhile, he too embarked on a journey of transformation. The aftermath of our disownment had ignited a fire within him to redefine success on his own terms. With each small job he took, each polite smile exchanged with customers, his confidence grew. I could see it in the way he carried himself, as if each task completed was a step closer to reclaiming his place in the world. But was it enough to weather the storms ahead? We often sat late at night, discussing ideas for future initiatives, dreaming of the day we could lift ourselves beyond these struggles. In the quiet spaces between our moments of doubt, we celebrated small victories. A sale here, a new connection there, each ripple of success brought with it a wave of hope. But amid this delicate balance of progress and uncertainty, I often found myself entwined in reflection. What would my family think if they could see us now, hand in hand, navigating the trials of life with determination? Their judgments hung heavy in the air, veiled in silence, and I feared the day I'd face the reality of their opinions again. Would they understand the depth of our commitment? Would they recognize the raw beauty of resilience, stitched into the very fabric of our lives? And so we journeyed onward, buoyed by the dreams that danced just beyond reach yet ever so enticing. Our trials, though arduous, became the very foundation of something greater than ourselves. What began as a struggle became our canvas, allowing us to paint new narratives forged from a palette of love, courage, and tenacity. In many ways, as our partnership deepened, so too did our understanding of what truly mattered. Not the opinions of others, nor the trappings of wealth that once held us captive, but the unshakable bond we had built amidst the chaos. As I reflect on our journey with its myriad of uncertainties and occasional triumphs, one question looms large. Can love thrive even when the world seems intent on destroying it? In the face of adversity, we crafted a life that showcased the power of resilience and determination, a testament that every struggle faced can be transformed into a stepping stone. Therein lay the greatest discovery of all, that in the depths of love we found not merely a means to survive, but a reason to thrive. What existed now was more than just a life built from scratch. It was an unyielding spirit that would serve to redefine our future, one inspired choice at a time. In the face of adversity, it is remarkable how human beings can discover strengths they never knew they possessed, much like the untamed river finding its way through jagged rocks and steep valleys. The anguish of disownment had settled heavily upon us, transforming our lives into a vibrant tapestry of hardship and hope. With each passing day, we learned that wealth, though often measured by possessions, could also be defined by resilience, ingenuity, and an unwavering spirit. As we stood on the precipice of despair, we began to weave a new narrative, one that was rich not in gold, but in opportunity. When my family turned their backs on me, their jeers echoed in my mind. To them, my decision to marry a man of humble means was an affront to our lineage, a disregard for the societal status that had been carefully cultivated over generations. Yet in that painful moment of separation, we discovered the freedom to define success on our own terms. It was this very freedom that set the stage for our journey, igniting the fires of determination within us. In the early days, when every penny felt like a mountain, we learned to cultivate resourcefulness from the soil of necessity. Our once opulent home lay behind us, replaced by a modest two-room apartment with peeling wallpaper and creaky floors. But rather than wallow in despair, we embraced this humble beginning as an opportunity to innovate. In a world where society dictated success through material wealth, we highlighted our strengths: creativity, hard work, and the courage to turn setbacks into stepping stones. As we adapted to our new circumstances, we began to explore the treasures hidden in the mundane. Our meals were simple but flavorful, built from raw ingredients that flourished in our gardens. a patch of earth we tended to with the same care a painter lavishes upon their canvas. We learned to cook not just to eat, but to savor. Each dish became a celebration of texture, color, and imagination. As we transformed the most ordinary meals into culinary experiences, we also unearthed a lesson that from what is seen as meager, greatness can arise. And as our home filled with laughter and shared moments over meals, the pursuit of something greater began to awaken within us. Could we harness our creativity in a more substantial way? What if our journey became a testament to our resilience? The answers unfolded as naturally as the sun rises each day, a realization that small businesses could reflect our values and weave our life story into the very fabric of the community that surrounded us. The spark ignited when I began to batik textiles, a skill given to me by my grandmother before her untimely passing. Initially, it was a simple hobby, a meditative process that soothed my mind amidst the chaos. But as I dipped the fabric into the rich dyes, a vision emerged. A brand that celebrated the artistry of our culture while offering sustainable livelihoods to those around us. Artisanal goods crafted with love could serve as a bridge between the past we were forced to leave behind and the future we envisioned together. Thus began our entrepreneurial journey, a venture that was as exhilarating as it was daunting. As we delved into the world of small business, we faced challenges that seemed insurmountable. The struggle to secure funding, the anxiety of customer outreach, the relentless negotiation of our worth in a market often dominated by bigger names. Yet with every setback, we learned invaluable lessons that could not be taught in any textbook. We became adept at networking and fostering relationships, reminding ourselves that collaboration could yield as much strength as competition. In those early mornings, before the sun bathed the world in gold, we would huddle around the kitchen table, brainstorming ways to elevate our fledgling business. We transformed challenges into opportunities. What had once been our own scarcity of resources became a vital canvas for creativity and adaptability. With time, we began to tap into the heartbeat of our local community, recognizing their stories and sacrificing our egos to listen. Our brand evolved to encompass more than our products. It became a shared identity, weaving together narratives of resilience that mirrored our own. Investment in community became our guiding principle. With each sale, we reinvested, offering workshops and training to artisans seeking to find their own footing in the world. The richness of our venture lay not only in our profits, but in the lives we were able to touch and the spaces we were able to uplift. It was through this engagement with our neighbors that we realized a profound truth. Wealth flourishes where there is collaboration, where shared wisdom emboldens the collective spirit. Encouraging one another to chase dreams turned a small endeavor into a movement, a tapestry of shared success that began to draw in those who had once looked down on us. The metamorphosis was slow, organic, transforming from two disheartened individuals into a powerful duo embracing the beauty of our story. Each struggle hardened our resolve, adding layers to our narrative just as the fibers were bound together in durable textiles. The community that once knowingly or unknowingly judged our choices began to take pride in our success, uniting not just with us but among themselves. It was a collective emergence, a quiet rebellion against an outdated belief that prosperity must be born of privilege. As we look back on our journey from disownment to independence, we see that the threads of resilience and resourcefulness are beautifully intertwined. In the depths of our struggle, we discovered not only our own strength, but the strength of our community. Adversity has a way of sparking untold creativity, leading us toward opportunities previously obscured by self-doubt and the weight of societal expectations. In the end, perhaps it was the disownment that bestowed upon us the greatest gift of all, the chance to rewrite our story, chart our own path, and turn adversity into not just opportunity, but a legacy. So, in asking ourselves how we navigate the tempests of life, we find that the fabric of our experiences, woven with resilience, resourcefulness, and connection, becomes the most exquisite tapestry of all, one that transcends the ephemeral nature of wealth and celebrates the enduring essence of shared humanity. In the shadows of adversity, where despair often lurks, the seeds of innovation and resilience can take root in the most unlikely of places. With every trial faced, the ember of entrepreneurial spirit flickered, igniting a burning desire to forge new paths where none existed. Here in the throes of struggle, dreams were born not as simple fantasies but as visions woven from the fabric of tenacity and hope. The journey from disownment to prosperity is akin to traversing a rugged mountainside, steep and daunting, yet filled with the promise of expansive vistas for those brave enough to embrace the climb. What does it mean to dream in the face of disapproval? To aspire when surrounded by doubt? For many, these questions swirl like storm clouds, darkening the horizon of ambition. Yet within the confines of rejection lay an immense potential waiting to be tapped. After being cast aside by family, it was not sorrow alone that filled the air. The whispers of innovation began to take form. It was a defining moment that beckoned a metamorphosis, turning grief into grit. Survival instinct often triggers the most creative of solutions, catalyzing profound shifts in perspective. Scarcely did they have resources, but what was lacking in material wealth was compensated by a wealth of ideas and determination. In the quiet mornings, before the world awakened, dreams were sketched out in the soft glow of dawn, each plan more audacious than the last. As they walked through their modest neighborhood, eyes opened to the overlooked opportunities all around. The vacant storefronts, the vibrant energy of community gatherings, the talents of friends struggling for recognition. What if they could harness this energy? What if they could kindle the entrepreneurial spark within their community? Questions birthed possibilities, and possibilities were worth exploring. They began small, crafting handmade goods, blending passion with purpose. The local market became their stage, where their creations danced between economic necessity and artistic expression. As they passionately shared their stories, something magical unfolded. People began to take notice. Diverse talents sparked collaborations among those disillusioned by traditional means. Creativity flourished in unexpected ways, driving growth from shared dreams. Yet amidst this burgeoning creativity, the specter of circumstance loomed ever closer. With no financial backing, the weight of doubt was suffocating. How could they withstand the gnawing fear of failure which clawed at their ambitions, threatening to unravel the delicate tapestry of their hopes? The answer lay not solely within themselves, but also in the strength of the bond they shared. Each challenge faced became a testament to the love that flourished and fortified their resolve. But were dreams truly enough to lift them from the depths? As entrepreneurial spirits gathered momentum, a crucial juncture emerged, demanding careful navigation. Opportunities to expand arose, but so did the risks associated with venturing into the unknown. Could they find a way to turn this local endeavor into something more substantial? The vision of a flourishing business that could impact lives began crystallizing in their minds, elevating aspirations into actionable plans. Technical skills, marketing strategies, and community engagement became the lifeblood of their entrepreneurial venture. As the local economy evolved, so too did their approach. They realized that collaboration was more powerful than competition. Local artisans, previously isolated in their struggles, became allies in a shared mission. Together, they formed a vibrant market that celebrated not just their products, but the stories behind them, their struggles, dreams, and victories. Throughout this journey, each setback was embraced as a lesson rather than a failure. For every door that shut, a window opened, offering new perspectives and alternative pathways. Each issue confronted, a delivery mishap, a product that didn't sell, a marketing campaign that fell flat, transformed into fertile ground for growth. How could they pivot? What would they learn? In this dynamic flux, adaptability became their guiding principle, carving a pathway to success that was as unique as their experiences. This evolution demanded a recalibration of expectations, fueling their resolve to reshape not only their own reality but that of their community as well. Through the lens of entrepreneurship, they recognized the power of mentorship, understanding that knowledge shared could amplify the potential for collective success. They began hosting workshops, inviting aspiring entrepreneurs to share the wisdom gleaned from their journey, a how-to for navigating the labyrinth of self-employment, infusing their community with newfound hope and inspiration. What does it take to inspire others amidst one's own tumultuous journey? Vulnerability and authenticity became their strongest currencies. By sharing their story, a tale of resilience and transformation, they unveiled the essence of possibility. The community responded with enthusiasm, embracing the ethos of entrepreneurship, sparking a burgeoning movement born from love, struggle, and triumph. As their influence expanded, the winds of change began to blow more favorably. Opportunities flourished, leading to fruitful collaborations and expanded outreach. The small venture that started as a glimmer of hope now transformed into a beacon of prosperity. The narrative of struggle morphed into one of resilience, empowering others to pursue their ambitions, no matter the odds stacked against them. In this awakening of entrepreneurial spirits, the landscape was irrevocably altered. Each success story became a testament to the strength of community, innovation, and unity. With passion and determination as their guiding stars, they now stood tall, redefining what it meant to be rich, not merely in wealth, but in purpose, ambition, and the meaningful connections forged through shared endeavors. And so, from the ashes of disownment, a vibrant tapestry of dreams emerged. Their tale was more than a personal saga. It became an intricate narrative woven into the fabric of their community. In their quest for success, they illuminated the path for others, sparking a renaissance of opportunity and creativity. Each step they took echoed through the corridors of change, inviting all to dream boldly, embrace entrepreneurship, and rise together. Against the backdrop of a world that often equates wealth with worth, the journey from rags to riches is a captivating saga that resonates deeply within the human experience. It unfurls not merely as a transformation of fortune, but as a profound metamorphosis of identity, values, and the very essence of what it means to prosper. This tale, too, is woven into the fabric of personal ambition and collective resilience, tracing the intricate pathways that turn dreams into reality. What factors orchestrate such transformations? Can a person, stripped of their societal comforts and cloaked in the enriching mantle of love, pursue success against all odds? With every step along this daunting path, the story of two hearts, once separated by class, now united in purpose, unfolds as a compelling narrative rich with lessons in tenacity and innovation. Initially, the newlyweds stood precariously on the precipice of poverty, a situation that weighed heavily against them, threatening to stifle the very dreams that had driven them to defy societal norms. Every day was a battle against financial disparities, with the specter of their respective pasts looming overhead like an insistent reminder of their origins. The disapproval from family echoed faintly, no longer an immediate threat, yet still capable of instilling a sense of inadequacy. Together, they embarked on a quest not only to survive, but to thrive. Indeed, in the crucible of necessity, creativity springs forth. The fires of adversity can ignite the most brilliant ideas. With little more than sheer willpower and an unwavering vision, they surveyed their surroundings, drawing inspiration from both the humble beginnings and the dreams that dance between them. But how does one begin to carve a niche in a world that seems to close its doors at every attempt? The answer lay in understanding the nuances of their situation, recognizing opportunity where others saw only despair. Their resourcefulness became a guiding force, transforming everyday challenges into catalysts for change. They launched small-scale ventures, starting with making crafts from reclaimed materials, art pieces that echoed their history infused with stories of struggle and hope. What began as an effort to earn a few extra coins evolved into a thriving business grounded in authenticity and an appreciation for sustainable practices. It is here that we must ponder the nature of success. Is it dictated solely by the scale of wealth one amasses, or does true prosperity encompass the values that underpin our achievements? The couple began to pave their own definition of richness, one whose foundations rested not merely on monetary gains, but on fulfilling a profound sense of purpose. Their products, each crafted with love and intent, resonated with others who had faced similar trials, creating a community of support and admiration around their craft. As they ventured deeper into entrepreneurship, they recognized the importance of networking, collaboration, and community building. They connected with local farmers and artisans, pooling resources and ideas, creating a ripple of innovation that would ripple far beyond their little startup. No longer just surviving, they began enriching not only their lives but the lives of others, embodying the spirit of interdependence that is crucial in any societal framework. Yet with success comes the potential for distraction, an alluring siren call of material comforts that can sway even the most focused individuals from their true mission. It would have been easy to become ensnared in the pursuit of wealth for its sake alone. However, they remained unwavering in their commitment to their principles, grounding themselves in the belief that wealth should empower, uplift, and serve a greater purpose. Each decision made, every business strategy employed was tailored not only to bolster their own financial footing, but to give back to the community that had buoyed them in their most vulnerable days. This transformation journey was neither linear nor devoid of obstacles. It was a tapestry stitched with both triumphs and setbacks. The couple faced challenges that would have broken lesser spirits: economic downturns, supply chain disruptions, and the ever-looming pressure of societal expectations. There were days when the weight of the world felt insurmountable, when hope flickered like a dying candle. Yet in those moments, they learned to turn inward, seeking solace and strength in their unwavering love for one another, proving that interpersonal connections could serve as an unshakable backbone amid shifting sands. As they celebrated milestones, little victories that marked their growth, they began to attract attention, drawing the interest of media and social platforms eager to highlight grassroots success stories. Their narrative began to resonate, igniting curiosity among those who had once turned away from their humble beginnings. They stood as living proof that dreams could manifest in unexpected ways, crafting a narrative that challenged long-standing societal scripts about class, ambition, and love. Transformation is rarely instantaneous. Rather, it unfolds layer by layer, reminiscent of the gradual unveiling of a masterpiece. With each passing day, the couple embodied resilience, refining their craft, expanding their network, bolstering their mission. It became increasingly clear that they were no longer merely a product of circumstance, but architects of their destiny. The lessons learned on this journey echo beyond personal anecdotes. They offer a blueprint for anyone navigating the treacherous waters of life. With a steadfast sense of purpose, creativity unfurling in response to need, and the knowledge that individual success is intertwined with collective prosperity, the couple expanded their vision to include future generations. They understood that their achievements must serve as a foundation not just for themselves, but for others striving to break free from the chains of expectation. A legacy rich in love, defined not by material wealth but by its potential to uplift and inspire. In the end, their journey from rags to riches serves as a profound reminder that transformation is not merely about altering one's financial status. Rather, it is about embodying the principles of resilience, creativity, and love, a legacy that redefines what it means to be rich truly. As they ventured forth, they carried not only their dreams but the aspirations of numerous others who dared to follow a similar path, illuminating the way for those still navigating the darkness of their own uncertainties. As I stood at the threshold of my childhood home, the very structure that had once encapsulated my laughter, my dreams, and my sense of belonging, an uneasy tension coursed through me. This place, which had witnessed my formative years, now felt like an alien landscape. It was evident that time had sculpted a chasm between who I had been and who I had become. My heart thudded with trepidation, infused with memories of family gatherings, the echoing warmth of familial affection so starkly juxtaposed against the icy silence surrounding our estrangement. It was a home I had reverently moved away from, not just in physical distance, but in an emotional journey that had stripped me of the title of daughter, a blank slate cast out like discarded paper. What had driven me to this moment? A reunion fraught with anticipation and dread all at once. The tapestry of choices I had made was woven with threads of love, defiance, and unyielding ambition. In taking the hand of a man deemed unsuitable by my family, I had transformed my fate from that of a gilded cage to a journey decorated in the vibrant strokes of resilience. Success had come slowly, methodically, but as I walked this path, step by step, a question nestled itself into my consciousness. What was the cost of this new life, and could it bridge the widening gulf between us? My gaze drifted to the lush garden once tended by my mother's careful hands. Each flower bloomed brightly, a testament to her nurturing spirit, yet even the beauty was tainted with a bittersweet twinge of nostalgia. Did they ever think of me when watering these plants? Did the fragility of my absence resonate through their petals? To confront my family now felt like stepping into a complex equation where love, obligation, and estrangement twisted together in a web almost impossible to unravel. Would they even recognize the woman I had become? The weight of their expectations had once clung to me like a heavy shroud. I had often been told that wealth should dictate my worth, that lineage was a currency more precious than the coins scattered in the marketplace. My life had echoed with lessons on appearances, on preserving the family name, and yet here I stood, a living contradiction. My heart swirled in an intricate dance of uncertainty. Would they see me as a shameful rebel, a misguided soul who defied societal norms in pursuit of love? Or could they find it in their hearts to perceive me as I now was, an architect of my own destiny? It was time to confront the ghosts of my past. This reckoning was not merely for them, it was a catharsis I sought for myself. I pondered the narrative they must have spun in my absence, the family lore that must have thrived in my disownment. Had they depicted me as a tragic figure, one whose folly had led not only to personal misery but to a tarnishing of our family's esteemed reputation? Or perhaps I had become a cautionary tale, whispered in hushed tones at family gatherings, a reminder of what could go awry when one strayed from the well-trodden path. Arriving at the door, I hesitated. The soft rustle of leaves played in the backdrop, an orchestra of nature urging me forward. I pressed the doorbell, its chime resonating like a distant echo of my childhood laughter. Moments stretched into an eternity, fraught with questions, would they be happy to see me? Or would I be met with the icy reception of a family hardened by pride? Just as uncertainty began to creep in, the door creaked open. The sight of my mother, a blend of familiarity and distance, hit me like a wave. There was the same warmth in her eyes that had always sparked with love, yet now shadows danced as uncertainty flickered beneath the surface. I could almost hear the conversations she had shared with my father, both mired in disbelief at my choices. Her expression was a tapestry of emotions, woven with threads of surprise, hurt, and perhaps the lingering question of betrayal. "Why did you come back?" she asked, her voice steady yet fragile, as though she were testing the waters of our new reality. I thought about my response, contemplating the implications of my words, a fragile truce or a confrontation laden with the weight of our unspoken past. "I came back for you, for us," I managed, feeling the enormity of the moment bear down on me. The floodgates of emotion threatened to burst as I recalled the life I had built. My journey had not been an easy one. I had faced rejection and alienation, but also triumph and joy in creating something from nothing. Life had molded me into a woman brimming with an understanding of love that transcended the constraints of wealth. And what life is that? The questions danced like fireflies in the twilight glow. "The one you've chosen at the cost of this family." Her words were laced with the weight of generations, a narrative imbued with tradition and expectation. I took a breath, gathering courage. Here within this exchange lay the possibility of reconciliation. "I found love that money could not buy. We've built a life, something you may not recognize, but it's beautiful because it is ours. It thrives on what we hold dear," I replied, my voice trembling as the sincerity of my feelings unfurled like a flag in the wind. "Can we not bridge this divide? Can we not discover a new path forward together?" With every heartbeat, I saw cracks forming in the armor she had fortified around her heart. What could be more resonant than the glimmer of shared humanity? In a world embroiled in material pursuits, could we find solace in the lessons of love and connection? The struggle for acceptance was a formidable opponent. However, the opportunity for dialogue twinkled like stars against the backdrop of our troubled history, a path paved with hope for healing. In that crystalline moment, amidst the echoes of laughter and the weight of regret, we stood on the precipice of possibility. The tangled stories of our past could expand, shaping itself into a narrative that embraced complexity without hostility. As the door swung open wider, I felt the remnants of timid bonds yearning to be rekindled. This was not merely about confronting family ties. It was an invitation to forge new ones, an exploration of what it means to be family united not just by blood, but by blossoming understanding. What is it that truly defines wealth in our lives? Is it the currency in our wallets, or is it the richness of our relationships? As we delve into the heart of this narrative, we must ask ourselves, can love, in its most pure form, triumph over societal expectations and redefine our understanding of prosperity? In the echo of disownment and the shadow of adversity, the enduring power of love emerges not as a mere sentiment, but as a radical force capable of reshaping destinies and forging new legacies. The tale begins in a world where material success casts a long shadow over the heart's desires, a reality that was palpable for many, yet particularly poignant for those who dared to challenge the status quo. This is the story of two souls whose hearts beat in a rhythm defying the expectations placed upon them by their families and society. They found themselves caught at the intersection of love and ambition, where the gleam of wealth often eclipsed the warmth of human connection. Their love was a quiet rebellion against the societal constructs that dictated who they should become and what they should possess. Theirs was a union that challenged the very tenets of success. At first glance, their journey may appear typical, a classic narrative showcasing the struggle between familial expectations and personal desire. However, the layers of complexity soon reveal that the essence of their battle was not merely against external pressures, but also an internal reckoning, the transformation of their values. What does it take to embrace love that the world deems imprudent? As they faced ridicule and judgment, their definition of wealth shifted, morphing into something beyond monetary gain. Their love became their foundation, the bedrock upon which dreams could flourish. Navigating through societal disapproval and familial rejection, they discovered an unforeseen treasure: resilience. It is here that we unearth the profound paradox of love. It demands sacrifice, yet bestows an abundance that transcends material wealth. The trials they faced were the crucible that refined their spirits, shaping them into architects of a shared dream. It was through struggle that they learned the intimate dance between hope and despair, transforming their rumored poor choices into a thriving partnership, a living testament to what could be achieved when two hearts unite. As the couple forged ahead, they found within themselves a resourcefulness that often lies dormant beneath the surface of conventionality. They embraced the challenges of their new life not as insurmountable barriers, but as catalysts sparking innovation and creativity. Together, they began to weave their own narrative, a story of entrepreneurship born from the ashes of disapproval. Their setbacks morphed into setups for comebacks, navigating markets with keen foresight and a profound understanding of their own identity. Each decision reverberated with the purpose of reestablishing their worth in terms that were uniquely their own. As their entrepreneurial spirits awakened, they became the embodiment of the adage that true wealth is found not in the possessions we accumulate, but in the legacy we create. Each venture they pursued was imbued with the essence of their love, an echo of their past struggles infused with the determination to rise and shine. They turned their passion into profits, channeling their experiences into a business model that resonated deeply with the community. People began to see beyond their perceived limitations. Their humble beginnings transformed into stories of hope that inspired others to reconsider their definitions of success. Wealth, they discovered, could be cultivated not from riches alone, but from the rich tapestry of human connection, from shared dreams and collective efforts. The question then arises: how do we measure the impact of love vis-a-vis material possessions? As their aspirations materialized and began to flourish into a vision both grand and profound, the couple understood that their love story was interwoven with every facet of their entrepreneurial journey. Their financial success was merely a reflection of something far deeper, a testament to the bonds formed in struggle and the lessons learned through adversity. In their ascent from rags to riches, they didn't simply accumulate wealth, they cultivated a legacy. One that would be told and retold, inspiring generations to forge their paths with love as their compass. Yet the narrative does not end with wealth alone. It raises another crucial question: what happens when they rise and return? Will the families that once disowned them recognize not just their material success, but the spirit of ingenuity and love that breathes life into their achievements? Their return to their roots looms on the horizon, a beacon calling them forth to confront the remnants of their past. Would those who once turned away now seek to understand the deeper truths behind their transformation? This legacy of love, built on the foundation of wealth, invites us to rethink the criteria by which we judge the successes of ourselves and others. As the couple's journey unfolds, we witness the essence of love acted upon in the face of adversity, the kind that transcends familial ties, societal judgments, and the limits of materialism. Ultimately, the power of love does not merely redefine what it means to be wealthy, it reframes our understanding of what it means to truly live. In closing, we are reminded that love, when nurtured and applied with courage and tenacity, holds the potential to create legacies that echo through time, beautifully intertwining our destinies in an ever-evolving tapestry of human experience.